Ronald Guzman bat. 2 out, bottom half of the 9th inning. Ball hit down the right field line, hit well, and this ball is gone.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Humm Baby Baseball channel. And today, it is time to talk Texas Rangers baseball. We are getting ready for 2021, and the Texas Rangers had a god-awful 2020. Is there a chance that this team could bounce back and have a much better 2021? Or is that even the plan? Because the Texas Rangers front office, they're making some trades. They sent Lance Lynn, obviously their best starter, pretty much their only great starter in 2020, shipped him to Chicago for some pretty damn good looking prospects, though, and a really good young pitcher in Dane Dunning. But nevertheless, they got rid of their best pitcher. And despite the struggles of the pitching staff in 2020, the offense was probably even worse. So it was just all around a tough year. The Rangers were dead last in the American League in runs scored. We're going to take a look at this team, though, because I don't think they're as bad as they looked in 2020. I'm not saying they're going to go win a World Series, so don't get that twisted. But I do think this team has some talent and some potential. So let's check it out. But first, the new additions to this team, including Japanese starter Kohei Arihara, who has a big arsenal of pitches and had a solid career in Japan. Not going to blow anyone away, not going to win a Cy Young, but he should keep games relatively close, assuming that that skill set translates to the big leagues. And then you got David Dahl on board, and he could potentially be one of the better hitters on this team if he can revert back to his 2019 self and stay healthy, which is entirely possible. And like I said, Dane Dunning, nice pickup, very promising, could be a solid big league arm. Nate Lowe was brought on board to compete with Ronald Guzman for time at first. And then Chris Davis, obviously, big power, ridiculous power, but high strikeout rate. I mean, he strikes out a lot, and he's not going to have a great batting average. And unfortunately, there's already too much of that type on this team, as I'll get into. Mike Foltenevich was picked up, former Atlanta Brave, and he was really good for the Braves for a long time until in 2020, he lost his velocity. He couldn't pitch, and they DFA'd him. So hopefully he's figured something out and he's getting that velocity back. Word is he is. We'll talk about him when we get to that rotation. And then a few minor league deals, some recognizable names. You can see Delano DeShields Jr., Brock Holt, Charlie Culberson. So, no major game changers, but, some depth moves there. But there is some breaking news. Another name that will be in spring training on a minor league deal. Breaking news! The Texas Rangers have also signed Ian Kennedy. And Ian Kennedy, you remember with the Diamondbacks back in 2011, he won 21 games, 21-4 that year, a 2.88 ERA, and 198 strikeouts. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get that or anything close to that, but a recognizable name. Obviously dealt with some injuries. He's obviously older, 36 years old for the 2021 season. Pitched out of the bullpen for the Royals in 2019 with a 3.41 ERA. And then in 2020, not so effective in 15 games, 14 runs in 14 innings, 20 hits, 15 strikeouts. So he did strike out batters, but without any major league options for Ian Kennedy at his age and his recent performance, he decided to go on a minor league deal with the Rangers with a shot at making the team most likely out of the bullpen. But, obviously he's been a great starter in the past, so you never know with that. But he'll be in camp, so an interesting signing there, Ian Kennedy. But let's get to the starting lineup for this team. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of this team on the field on a daily basis in Texas. And in center field is going to be Leody Taveras, a very young but very impressive player with great speed, great defense. That's what you want in center field, but his bat needs some work because he strikes out a little bit too much to be a leadoff man. But this guy has 2020 potential. He stole 8 bases in 8 tries. He hit 4 home runs in just 119 at-bats for the Texas Rangers. And then Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, he is a consistent, solid hitter, going to make hard contact. He's not hit a lot of home runs in his career, but he has that potential, that power potential, if he can figure some things out there. But obviously, ridiculously good defense, strong arm, very soft hands, got a gold glove in 2020, and definitely a nice talent you want to have in this lineup, and that is Kiner-Falefa. And after that, you got Willie Calhoun, who should be healthy again after that unfortunate broken jaw that he suffered back in 2020 spring training. I think he should be fine. This guy's got 30-plus home run power if he can ever get a full season in. Obviously, a very high or former high prospect, big-time prospect with the Dodgers system. So you got Calhoun, and then Chris Davis could also DH in there sometimes. And if he can return to his older form, which resulted in just 48 bombs in 2018, he will definitely find his way into the lineup. Unfortunately, he also strikes out a ton, like I said, like several batters in this lineup. Take the next guy, Joey Gallo. Yeah, he's going to strike out a few times. In fact, he was 4th in strikeouts in the AL in 2020, and in his last full season, he struck out over 200 times. And with a 181 batting average last year, despite great power and great defense, I don't think that's going to work. He's going to have to bump that batting average up and figure out something there. He's always going to strike out a lot, but 181 is not going to cut it. Nick Solak should be the third baseman, although Texas Tech product and 8th overall pick Josh Young will get the call up at some point. He was an absolute beast with the Red Raiders. OPS over 1,100 in both of his last 2 seasons there. But as for Solak, he impressed as well. 2020 had 56 hits in 58 games, 23 runs batted in. More than adequate for now as Young develops, and he could even stay in that lineup, maybe replace Odor or something like that if Solak continues to hit well in 2021. Then you got Nate Lyle, like I said, signed to compete with Ronald Guzman, who hasn't exactly exploded with the bat as the Rangers hoped, but Guzman is all right. He hit 244 with 4 home runs in 78 at-bats, 24 strikeouts, and Lyle, strikingly similar stats, 224, a little worse, 4 home runs and 67 at-bats, and 28 strikeouts. Worst strikeout rate. So based on 2020, not sure how Lowe is an upgrade. I actually like Guzman, who is and has torn it up in the Winter League. So he looks like a man on a mission for 2021. Look for Guzman. And we'll see, though. It's going to be an interesting competition there. Then David Dahl, he has at least 20, if not 25, 30 home run potential, and a very solid bat when he's healthy. But he has never played more than 100 games. He's played 100 in 2019, and he hit 302 with 15 home runs. You got Jose Trevino, great defensive catcher. He is likely going to be the starter while Sam Huff develops some more. Sam Huff, a big-time catcher in their system. Aramis Garcia was signed and could be the backup, or he might even get more than a few starts because he showed some really amazing power with the Giants in some spring training games and a few regular season games. But this dude, Aramis Garcia, he was like the man. He was going to be our regular backup in San Francisco, and then he had injury issues. Finally, Rougned Odor, he might be a power threat, but he's a 200 hitter at best, and he strikes out more than ever. And in 2020, his average dropped to a measly 167. His on-base percentage was barely over 200. If he doesn't show massive improvement, I just don't see how that's sustainable despite the power threat. Odor, just I don't know. We'll see. It's time to make it or break it for Rougned Odor. Overall, I mean, there's just no shortage of question marks in this lineup. Like, will David Dahl return to form in like he was in 2019? Will he stay healthy? Another question. Can Willie Calhoun bounce back after the tough 2020, after the terrible hit in the face? Can Odor and Gallo hit at least 220? Is that possible? All that said, there's going to be a lot of loud contact. There's going to be some solid backs like Kiner Falefa, Taveras, Solak are all solid, and I believe Ronald Guzman is going to have his best year. I have a feeling that Ronald Guzman is going to be pretty good this year. But with some young prospects on the way as well that are going to enhance this lineup, I think it's halfway decent. But I can't give it a great grade because there's just too many unknowns and too many strikeouts in this lineup. But I'm going to give it a C. Jumping into the rotation, you got Kyle Gibson, who was terrible last year, although he did throw a shutout, but his slider just not effective as it used to be, and I don't know what happened. He needs to figure that out. But 2-6, 5.35 ERA. He's 33. Not exactly a guarantee to figure something out and bounce back, but he is their best chance at an experienced ace in 2021. The good news is he did better as 2020 went along, and if it was a regular full 162, I'm pretty sure that those numbers would have been a lot better at the end. But then you got Jordan Lyles, and he just looked like he was throwing BP in 2020, and he gave up a league-high 45 runs, had a 1-6 record, gave up 12 bombs and 23 walks in 57 innings. Not good. He's got to figure out what he was doing recently with the Brewers and start doing that again. You know, fix his curveball, fix some of his stuff, and get it together. Then you got Dane Dunning, and he could be their best pitcher. He could be their absolute best pitcher. And if I had to guess who their best pitcher will be in 21, I would say Dane Dunning. I mean, he looked fantastic in 7 starts with the White Sox. He's got a hard sinker. He's got a good slider. And at just 26, I think he's got a huge ceiling. And he could make the Rangers look smart for trading away Lance Lynn. So we'll see. Kohei Arihara, like I said, very solid, very durable. And then for that 5th spot, I think Mike Foltenevich is the front runner. assuming that, he can have some kind of, he can show that velocity is indeed increasing as we're hearing. He's ramping it back up to normal because, like I said, last season he didn't have it, and the Braves just let him go. They said, no, we're good on that. And they saw him just like, I think, one appearance, and they're like, yeah, no. Other options include Colby Allard, a first-rounder, nice changeup. You got to improve that control, and so that he could set up the changeup. But he's got good stuff. Kyle Cody, similar control issues, but he's an intimidating presence on the mound. Big guy, 6 slider, good hard fastball. Taylor Hearn was a guy who looked like he was going to be pretty good, but then he got moved to the bullpen and pitched well out of the bullpen in 2020. So he's someone to look for. Could get another crack at the rotation. And Hyun Jong Yang from Korea. Also, a guy can eat up innings. He throws a lot of innings over there. Could get a shot at the rotation or be a nice long reliever. Again, not going to light anybody up, but he might get lit up from time to time. But no, more often than not, he's going to be good enough and pretty solid. So probably, again, more questions than answers with this rotation. Are these guys going to be all right? Are Kyle Gibson and Jordan Lyles going to be all right? Are they going to be okay? What about Folty? Is he really got that velocity back, or is that just a bunch of BS? We'll see in spring training, right? So we'll see, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to give it an F because I think it's going to be better than that, but I can't really give it too great of a grade. I'm going to give it a D+, and we'll see. Jumping into the bullpen, you got Jose Leclerc. Great stuff. He got hurt pretty much immediately in 2020, so he's got to stay healthy, but I think the stuff is there to be a shutdown closer. Jonathan Hernandez is solid. High 90s heat, good stuff. Rodriguez, one of the few bright spots with the Rangers. I think he came back from Japan a lot better, 2.13 ERA, but the bad news is for most relievers in 2020, it's a pretty small sample size, so that's not good. If Hearn doesn't make the rotation, he'll be a solid option out of the pen. Rangers also traded for Josh Sborz, who is a solid, relief pitcher out of the Dodgers organization. High strikeout guy, could develop into possibly even a setup man or better if needed. So, you got him. They snagged another guy from the Dodgers as well. That's if you're going to grab talent. You might want to look at the Dodgers if you want to grab some young talent that could help, because the Dodgers obviously ridiculously stacked, so they're going to have some very good young talent in their system that might be available. And they grabbed Brett DeGus as well, who is a young pitcher. This is a Rule 5 pick, so he has only pitched in the minor leagues, in the low minor leagues. But he has shown some nasty and dominant stuff. So who knows? They might want to try to hang on to him for the full season. I get tired of seeing guys pick up Rule 5 guys and then just send them back after 1 or 2 bad outings. Like, what are you doing? The point of grabbing the Rule 5 guys to get a free young prospect, but you got to keep them on the team all year and then throw them in your system, do whatever you want after that. But, they always, every time I see, at least as a Giants fan, maybe I'm speaking from the Giants' point of view, but they're always taking Rule 5 guys and they're always just cutting them like real quick. It's like, well, what was the point? Yeah, so pretty good bullpen, with Brett DeGus and all these other guys now. It's not the strongest bullpen in baseball. You lose Rafael Montero. He was shipped to Seattle, but still reliable arms in there. I mean, it's not that bad. The problem is, though, if that rotation can't eat up enough innings, this bullpen's going to get overworked quickly, and this bullpen's going to be more susceptible, and this bullpen's going to get lit up from time to time. I mean, it's not that strong that it can handle just, pitching 5 or 6, 7 innings every night. So that's not going to work. But overall, I don't think it's a bad bullpen. I don't think it's a great bullpen. I think there's some good arms in there. I'm going to give it a C+. I think it's probably their strongest section. Overall, this team, the Rangers, they do have good talent and more on the way. I don't know if there's enough on the way to consider this an up-and-coming team that's going to compete in the next couple of years for, a championship. I don't know about that. I don't think that there's obviously enough there now to compete for anything, because there's just, unless everybody has, a career year. If everyone has career years, all of a sudden this team could be awesome, but that's just beyond unlikely. That's like winning the lottery. So I don't think this is going to be a great team. I don't think it's a 100-loss team. And they're going to need guys like Kyle Gibson and Jordan Lyles and David Dahl, Joey Gallo, Odor, Guzman, so on and so forth, to have big seasons. Not every single one of them, but a lot of them need to have much, much better seasons than they've had recently. And if so, it could be a surprise team that can compete maybe for a wild card, but that's a lot of ifs. Overall, I'm going to give this team a C-. I think that's being fairly generous. I think most would give this team an F or a D, but I'm going to give them a C- because I do like the roster, in a way. So we'll see how it works out. But you guys have a fantastic day. Please hit that subscribe button, and I'm going to have a few more Texas Rangers videos during spring training. I'm trying to work on some collabs with some other creators. So we'll be doing a little more Texas Rangers talk than normal coming up over the next month or two. So you guys have a fantastic day. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button. and we'll talk to you next time. See ya!
When the Giants come to town, it's 5